What's up? Colby Sharp. I'm a 5th grade teacher in Michigan. Welcome to my channel where we try to help kids fall in love with reading. One of my favorite ways to do that is through sharing amazing picture book read alouds. That's what we're going to be talking about today. 10 awesome books that I read aloud in November. It was a really great month. Almost all of these are nonfiction. Let's go. I'm not the best at reading nonfiction aloud, especially at the end of our day. That was the last thing we do every day, so I'm very proud of myself for crushing it this month. Way to go, team. Oh, do you see? Did you see this? This is my favorite school sweatshirt. I wear it 60 days a year. It just stays in my closet and I put it on. It's falling apart. I've had it like 10 years. Holes in the elbows, cuffs all messed up. I sent it to a sewing shop in California. They fixed the cuffs. They made them super cool. Gave me elbow patches. Ow, just awesome. All right, we're gonna talk about these 10 books. I'll put a list in the description of this video in case you want to buy them or add them to your to-read list or go to the library, check them out. I'll also put a coupon code, Colby Sharp. If you want to buy them from Bookalicious, then you can receive 20% off and free shipping. November, National Native American Heritage Month. So you're going to see heavy on books that celebrate Native Americans, the indigenous people of this land. We are still here, one of the best, one of the most important. I will tell you that as a 5th grade teacher, one of the things that my 5th graders have no idea, we studied the history of North America through the Revolutionary War, like when people started coming, and they had no idea that Native Americans still live here. I don't know what they thought happened to them all. But so this book is perfect. We read a couple of these 2-page spreads each day, and they can just learn that they are still here. It's a phenomenal book. If you haven't read it yourself, you're probably going to want to, and you definitely want to share it with kids. We are still here. Phenomenal, one of the best and most important books of the year. Charisses Big Voice, a Native kid becomes a congresswoman. Awesome true story, beautiful illustrations. Kids don't know these kind of things. They don't know these stories, but you know what? Now they do, because we read aloud awesome books like Charisses Big Voice. The kids were really into it. I was really into it. And to be honest, I didn't really know the story before I read the picture book. So let's go. All right, next up, the Caldecott Medal winning book, We Are Water Protectors. One of the most beautiful picture books ever created in the history of planet Earth. And I will just show you one spread. We'll just watch it. We'll do it like this. Do I need to say anything else? It's beautiful. It's gorgeous. Helps us talk about what is still happening on Native land, how Native Americans are still being treated unfairly and ridiculously, and we get to experience that through this amazing book. One of the things that we try to do in all of these books during this month was to read the back matter and share some of the back matter so kids could learn a little bit more and see where these stories kind of came from and a little bit more about them. A brand new book that just came out, A Land of Books, Duncan's new one. His art is like one of the most unique. He's just one of the most unique creators on the planet. And this was such a fascinating book about these young painters in what is now Mexico, and how they told stories and shared stories and documented their stories a very long time ago. I just love it. It's a little bit longer, so it was one of those days where I just made sure we had a little bit more time to read it. It was awesome. And the most must-own book, I don't know how to say that. The book that you have to own. Of all of the books this year, this might be the most important one to own. And I don't know how to say, one thing I love about this book is it has a pronunciation guide here at the very beginning, so you don't butcher these. Kipunamuk. And it's a Thanksgiving story. Hold on. Hot water heater. It's cold here in Michigan. It's cold. So it's a Thanksgiving story told from the Native Americans' side and perspective. And it's this beautiful story, this fascinating story, this important story. And we loved it. There's also a video that one of my friends shared online that we watched with the author talking about this story, and had other Native American voices that was really, really powerful and amazing. So many great books. If you want a link to that video, because I'll forget, just leave me a comment and then I'll link it. I'll respond to your comment and leave that video. But a really amazing story, beautiful story. I'll show you a little bit inside. See, the story of the first Thanksgiving from a Native American perspective. Check it out. Look at those elbow pads. Thankful. Elaine Vickers, Samantha Cotterill. I think that's how you say it. I don't know. It's just a beautiful book about being thankful. And the art is out of this world. It's about being thankful and taking time to just think about all the different things we can be thankful for. Obviously, a great book to read around the end of November as we approach Thanksgiving. Check this out. Seriously, so stinking good. Because Claudette, my kids had no idea of Claudette Colvin's story. They, what was I saying? It's called Claudette Colvin's story. They had no idea. They'd heard of Rosa Parks, and when Rosa Parks appears in this book, their minds are just blown. Like watching Claudette make these friends and be around like Rosa Parks and Dr. King, and it was so cool. And of course, I learned a bunch from this book. And then I was like, Tracy Baptiste wrote this book, and they're like, Tracy Baptiste, like we know that name, Tracy Baptiste. We're reading aloud her book, The Jumbies, but this book is so different from The Jumbies that then one kid goes, The Jumbies! And like, yes, so that was cool for them to be able to see just the range that an author has, that they could write this beautiful nonfiction picture book and also this wild fantasy adventure book that we're just on the edge of our seats every single day reading. So just books, man, stories, let's go. All right, The Crayon Man. I don't know about you, but one of my favorite things about picture books for kids is when they tell the story of how something came to be, something that is maybe common or popular. And The Crayon Man, how Crayola crayons were invented, how it started, how they got their name, the factory that they were built in, the man who, the inventor who created them, his wife's impact on the story. Phenomenal. I just can't get enough of like how things came to be. And I read that after reading Balloons over Broadway, Melissa Sweet's just fantastic book about how the balloons in the Macy's Day Parade came to be. I always want to read this book around Thanksgiving, and I always don't have it. And it's like, I want to read Balloons Over Broadway, and it's like the day before Thanksgiving, and I don't have it in my class. So I bought it. I think I had a copy before. I don't know, but I bought a new copy, and I had it, and I got to read it, and it made me so happy. And then Diary of a Wimpy Kid has a balloon, and Jeff Kinney released a like YouTube video of them like painting it and creating it, and how they made it and testing it. So we got to watch that in class too, and they love that kind of stuff. So Balloons Over Broadway, one of the best ever. All right, and of course, we're getting into like how things came to be. So on the very last day of November, we read The Marvelous Thing That Came from a Spring. It's so cool. It's so, the art, this is another one, Gilbert Ford is just, look at that. It's so, and it was such an interesting story. And I loved like, this part here where he went to try to sell them in I think it's Gimbals, and like no one was buying them, and then he tested it, and then they just like all sold out. Like they just all sold out in like 90 minutes, all 400 of them. Such a good book. So many amazing books. I hope you found something to add to your to-read list. Just because it's December or January or February or whatever month you're watching, it doesn't mean that all of these books wouldn't be great. We need to be reading amazing stories from lots of different voices every single day, week, month of the year. My name is Kobe Sharp. Check out the list of these books in the description of this video. I hope you have an awesome-tastic